just come out and said Sophie Cunningham's name has been banned from WNBA subreddit, and users who question the restriction risk getting banned themselves. Obviously, a moderator has basically said, "Oh yeah, Sophie Cunningham's name is divisive."
And that is where this story immediately becomes strange. A private decision made by Reddit moderators somehow turned into a national sports news controversy. The most important question is not whether discussion about Sophie Cunningham was restricted. The bigger question is why something so disconnected from the WNBA itself suddenly became another issue that the league had to explain or answer for.
Because the WNBA spokesperson then came out and said, you've got this from Christina. A WNBA spokesperson provided the following statement regarding claims involving WNBA or WNBA subreddit Sophie Cunningham. The WNBA does not moderate or
that statement matters because it establishes the main fact that everything else needs to be based on. According to the WNBA spokesperson quoted here, the league does not moderate that subreddit and has no affiliation with it. So whatever the Reddit moderators decided to do with posts about Sophie Cunningham, that decision was not a WNBA rule or league policy. But look at what happened anyway. The story moved beyond Reddit and into mainstream coverage. The WNBA was asked about it, and suddenly an internet forum run by volunteer moderators was being discussed alongside the league, as if the two were connected closely enough to require an official response. That difference between what people believe and what is actually true is what makes this situation interesting. The Reddit dispute itself is almost secondary. The bigger story is how quickly controversies involving the WNBA become connected to the league, even when the league had nothing to do with them. And this leads to a much harder question for the WNBA. Why does it sometimes seem easier to get a clear answer about something the league does not control than about controversies involving people and situations that are actually part of the league?
Someone just decided to make an Orthodox WNBA subreddit. And do they call itself the official WNBA subreddit? I do need to check that. Because if they do, then that's an issue. That is an issue if they do. Or/WNBA. Nope. It just says a space for constructive discussion about WNBA, articles, marketing, players. It says keep a zero tolerance policy for racism, sexism, homophobia, or belittling women's
Listen
sports.
carefully to that difference. A subreddit can use WNBA in its name, talk about WNBA players every day, attract WNBA fans, and still be completely independent. Reddit communities are not automatically official parts of the organizations or subjects they discuss. That seems obvious, but apparently it was not clear enough to stop the confusion. This matters because names and branding can create assumptions. A casual reader may see a community called WNBA and immediately assume it is run by the league. They may not stop to ask who actually controls it. Is it league staff, Reddit employees, fans, or independent moderators? Unless someone understands how the platform works, the name alone can make the community seem more official than it really is. That is why the league's clarification was reasonable. If people are wrongly assuming that an independent moderation decision was ordered by the WNBA, the league has every right to explain that it was not involved. But there is also an argument that responding can give the controversy even more attention. A league statement can correct false information while also making a small internet dispute seem important enough to require an official response. That creates a difficult situation. If the league ignores the issue, people may accuse it of silently accepting the story. If it responds, the response itself can become another headline. For a league already facing a huge amount of attention, even denying involvement can become part of the controversy.
Because I've had hate threads written about me, and even in the comments, people are like, this Reddit has always talked about how, you're not allowed to hate on anyone. You've just left this hate thread open. I just comment, I'm like, yeah, leave it open. Who cares? Who cares? It shouldn't make any difference. Let them hate on me. It makes no difference. If you're soft, you're soft. And if you're soft, you shouldn't be in social media.
And now the story moves from league confusion to internet culture. The speaker is basically saying that Reddit is still Reddit. People criticize each other, moderators make their own decisions, communities develop their own biases, and sometimes users do not like the results. You do not have to agree with every moderation decision to understand that private online communities have their own rules. Some remove repeated topics. Some lock discussions when arguments become too toxic. Some temporarily ban certain words or topics. Some moderators are very strict, while others barely control anything. Those decisions can be fair, unfair, inconsistent, or even ridiculous. But they are still different from a professional sports league creating rules for players, teams, or media members. Sophie Cunningham becomes part of the story because her name reportedly became controversial enough within this particular community that moderators limited discussion about her. The source describes the reason as her name being considered divisive. That word is interesting because it may say more about the environment around WNBA discussions than it does about Cunningham herself. When one player's name becomes difficult for moderators to handle, it suggests that the conversation around that player has gone beyond normal basketball discussion. The player starts becoming a symbol of something bigger. One group sees the player as representing a larger issue, while another group strongly reacts against that idea. Eventually, moderators may stop dealing with individual comments and instead start controlling the topic itself. That is an internet problem, but it also reflects the larger political and cultural divisions surrounding the league, which the WNBA cannot completely separate itself from.
But that being said again, why is it going to Fox News to talk about? Like, they don't want to make it political. So, like, you can't even say anything about Sophie Cunningham shooting. I'm pretty sure there was a post about Sophie Cunningham's efficiency that got taken down. WNBA is not a sports league, Reddit is a cesspool, yada yada. You've got a former player saying what happened. This was a way, do people think Subreddit was an official outlet? The league's embarrassment.
This is where the criticism becomes stronger. The complaint is not simply that the WNBA answered a question about Reddit. The real complaint is about what the league responds to quickly and what situations seem to receive unclear answers. That difference matters. If an independent subreddit makes a questionable moderation decision, the league can give a simple factual response: we do not run it. That is clear and easy. The league does not need a major investigation because it already knows whether it controls the forum. But when a controversy involves player behavior, social media posts, fan arguments, officiating, discipline, or statements that can be understood in different ways, the league's response becomes much more complicated. These situations can involve collective bargaining rules, internal investigations, security concerns, player privacy, disciplinary policies, and information that the public does not have. So there is a fair argument against the frustration being expressed. These situations are not the same. Saying that the league does not operate a subreddit requires almost no investigation. Looking into an accusation involving a player could require evidence, context, and an internal process. Still, from a fan's point of view, that kind of institutional complexity can look like selective urgency. People remember the times when they wanted clear answers but did not get them. Then they see the league quickly explaining something as minor as a Reddit issue and ask, why was this worth responding to? That perception problem is real, even when the situations are actually very different.
Like, just let Fox News run with boomer narratives. Like, just laugh at Fox News being like, yes, obviously has nothing to do with us. Like, it's not our fault you don't understand how Reddit works. It's not our fault you don't understand how Reddit works. Like that's essentially, like, they should have just not responded. And if Kathy was ever asked about it, it should have been something along those lines of being like, the Reddit has nothing to do with us. It's not our fault that journalists, anchors of Fox News.
That reaction shows why this became bigger than just a moderation story. The source believes the WNBA would have been better off treating the whole situation as a simple misunderstanding and moving on. There is some logic to that. Major sports leagues cannot realistically control every fan community that uses their name or talks about their players. There are unofficial Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit communities, podcasts, YouTube channels, fan pages, and message boards for almost every major league. If one moderator on one platform makes a strange decision, the NBA does not automatically become responsible just because people are talking about basketball. However, the WNBA is currently operating in an unusually intense media environment. Small stories can become big very quickly because almost every disagreement can be used as evidence for someone's larger opinion about the league. To one group of fans, limiting discussion about Sophie Cunningham may look like censorship. To another group, it may simply look like moderators trying to reduce repeated arguments and conflict. To a third group, the whole situation may seem ridiculous because they never believed the league was connected to the subreddit in the first place. This is where the facts and the symbolism quickly become two different things. The basic fact is that the league says it has no connection to the subreddit. But critics can still use the incident as another example of what they believe is a hostile environment towards certain players. Once a story reaches that point, correcting the basic fact does not always end the larger argument.
They made sure that they're going to block Moser post. That's okay. But, like, my thing is that when people are asking them to talk about random Reddit things that they know, but, like, when people are asking the league to talk about, you know, players co-signing threats towards other players, oh yeah, that's nothing. We don't know anything about that. We know about this, and we know that this is the time where it's like, it's nothing. So
now we reach the accusation that gives this whole video its real tension. The speaker compares the Reddit response with other situations where fans wanted the league to respond more strongly to social media controversies involving players. This comparison needs to be handled carefully because the clip makes broad claims about players supposedly supporting threats, but it does not provide a specific post, player, or verified league finding to prove that claim. So it should not be treated as established fact. Social media controversies can easily be misunderstood because of cropped screenshots, missing context, unclear likes, reposts, and different interpretations. However, the larger criticism can still be discussed without accepting every allegation. Fans are increasingly judging sports leagues not only by what they punish, but also by what they choose to acknowledge. Silence is noticed. Public statements are noticed. The speed of a response is noticed. Even the exact wording of a statement can become part of the debate. This creates a difficult situation for the league. If the WNBA responds to every viral accusation, people can say that online outrage is controlling its decisions. If it ignores too many controversies, critics may say the league is protecting certain people or showing favoritism. If it responds to some cases but not others, fans will compare those cases and accuse the league of being inconsistent. That is why the Reddit incident is more important than it first appears. The official response was actually very simple: this subreddit is not ours yet. But trust in the league's communication is already being questioned. Because of that, even a simple and boring statement gets added to a much larger list of complaints. Fans are not judging that one sentence by itself. They are comparing it with every previous situation where they felt the league responded too slowly, explained too little, or said nothing at all. That built-up frustration is what really drives the reaction.
This league makes no sense. This league as a whole makes zero sense. Makes zero sense at all. And yeah, I just don't know what the outcome of this is. Like, it's madness. Like, as somebody that's covered the sport of basketball for my entire... who's played the sport of basketball since I was 5 years old. Who's covered the sport of basketball basically since my basketball...
The speaker says the league makes no sense, but what he is really talking about is a problem with consistency. Once people believe an organization acts differently in different situations, they start looking at every new decision with that belief in mind. That does not mean every claim of unfair treatment is correct. Different situations can require different responses. A referee decision is different from a security complaint. A player's social media post is different from something posted on an independent website. A disciplinary issue is different from a public relations problem. Consistency does not mean treating every situation exactly the same. It means giving people a clear system they can understand. What situations get public statements? What issues stay private? When does the league investigate? When does it leave the matter to the teams? When does player discipline become public? And when is a controversy simply outside the league's responsibility? If fans cannot understand these rules, they may start guessing about the league's motives instead. That is when poor communication becomes a serious problem. When there is not enough information, people fill the gaps with explanations that match what they already believe about the WNBA. This is even more important now because the league has grown. More viewers mean more attention. More attention means more clips taken out of context, more headlines, more political arguments, and more people watching who may know very little about how the league works. Growth does not only bring more TV viewers and ticket buyers. It also brings a much larger audience that expects accountability. Some of these people may follow players, personalities, and controversies even more closely than they follow basketball itself.